Okay, welcome everybody back to Steve Talks Boxing X STBX, and this week we've got this little fight to look at. Basically, it's a super middleweight fight in Jaime Munguia against John Ryder, which is also live on DAZN. And I'm pleased to say joining me this week is Kenzer Gray. Welcome, Kenzer, to the show again. Thanks for coming on.
Not at all, mate. Thanks for having me. You all right?
No, appreciate that. I first invited you on to this particular fight because I heard you was a fan of both fighters.
Yeah.
What's the reason behind that?
Yeah, I mean, well, with Munguia, I don't, especially just recently, he's just always in epic fights. His last fight as well was a perfect example of that Derevyanchenko fight. It was one of the best fights I've seen for a long time. I think that might have been fight of the year. Yeah. You know, he's just such an exciting fighter. He's got flaws as well, obviously defensively, and he tends to gas out a little bit, especially in his last fight. But it's just such good value. He's just such good entertainment, you know? Yeah. And as for John Ryder, it's difficult not to like John Ryder. Mm-hmm. He just comes across as a very nice fella, very, he's the ultimate professional, isn't he? He seems to be.
Yeah, definitely.
There doesn't seem to be any airs and graces with him, and he just tries his heart out. And he's like, especially in his last fight against Canelo, you know, he's a bit of a hero, isn't he, John Ryder?
Yeah,
he's come across as a very nice fella.
Yeah, I must admit, I've got a bit of a soft spot for Ryder because basically he's from the same part of London. What I grew up, he's Angel Islington. He went to the ABC there as well, so always had a soft spot for John Ryder and followed his career throughout.
Have you ever met him, Steve?
No.
No, you haven't like bumped into him at a show or anything like that. No, you haven't.
Well, I've seen him. Yeah, I saw him fight Jacobs at the Ali Pali. I saw that fight. So, but some people said Jacobs should have won that. To be honest with you.
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah, but yeah, it was one of them. You like Ryder so much, you think, oh well, he was due one.
Yeah.
It's one of them, isn't it?
Kind of home fight advantage, maybe what we saw with Tasha Jonas this weekend.
I think he got away.
Yeah, definitely. The Mexican superstar has been labelled like a protected fighter. What do you think on that?
I think he's got a padded record, definitely. I mean, he's 42-0. You know what I mean? His record is very sort of Deontay Wilder. You know, the first 20 fights are not even worth looking at, really. Yeah. You know, there is a lot of tomato cans on there very early on in his career. But just lately, I mean, don't forget he's a former world champion as well. He won the title off Saddam Ali, then defeated Liam Smith and a few other people. And just lately, he's fought like Derevyanchenko and one or two others. And Gabe Rosado, who's not world class, but still dangerous. So I don't think he's just as protected lately. But definitely in the early part of his career, he's been padded. But as well, like 3 or 4 fights ago, he fought Jimmy Kelly. You know, what is a former world champion doing fighting Jimmy Kelly? So I don't know about protected, maybe a little bit just sort of mismanaged. I don't know really. But he seems to be off the leash now. So that's the main thing. And he's only 26 still. So
yeah, he's still fairly got age on his side. Will Ryder be Munguia's toughest opponent to date, would you say?
Not for me, no. I don't think Ryder is as tough an opponent as Derevyanchenko. I don't. Don't forget, Derevyanchenko, for my money, beat Golovkin about 4 or 5 years ago. You know, that's the type of fighter he is. I don't think Ryder's quite at that level.
Yeah, that's fair enough. And just recently, Munguia's had Freddie Roach in his corner. Just recently. What do you think this will add to him?
Well, a couple of things, really. Roach does seem to work well with offensive fighters. He's not a particularly defensive-minded coach, is he? If you look at his fighters, they always seem to be on the front foot going forward, and he likes his men to be aggressive. So I think that will suit Munguia. And there was definitely a problem in the camp last time with his old trainer, or there was something wrong because Munguia gassed out very, very badly. Yeah. So much so that before the fight, they actually offered Derevyanchenko money, Golden Boy did, to downgrade the fight from a 12-rounder to a 10-rounder. So they knew he'd had a bad training camp. And then after that fight, he split with his trainer. So maybe there was an issue there, although they say that there isn't. They parted, him and Morales parted on good terms. So maybe it was just a mutual thing, and it came to a natural ending.
Came to an end.
But
yeah, I didn't realise that.
I think,
They wanted to change it to 10-rounder. So
yeah, they actually offered Derevinchenko 6 figures, I believe, to knock 2 rounds off it, which actually counted against him during the fight because he got dropped in the last round, and Munguia won it on points. But so maybe Roach will bring an element of fitness and stamina to him as well, because it's an interesting choice of opponent, Ryder.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, if you're struggling with stamina, you don't really want Ryder as your opponent, do you? You know, because you know he's got to come on strong late on. So maybe they've sorted that out now. You know, maybe they think they've had a camp and they're going to go for it.
Yeah, I think it'd be a good addition. You know, you can't say no to Freddie Roach, can you? Really?
No, super experienced, isn't he? You know, look at his resume.
Yeah, sure. And looking at obviously Ryder's last fight against Canelo, this obviously fight. What did you think of that? What effort went into that one?
I think it was just all effort, wasn't it? An incredible amount of effort, even from Ryder's standards. You know, he got his nose bust up. I think it was the second round, and then he fought 10 rounds against Canelo, like breathing through his mouth, like with all blood, like swallowing his own blood and all that. You know, and Canelo
it's not ideal, is it?
Not ideal, and I think it was the 9th or the 10th, and Ryder was seriously in trouble, and he got through it, and then ended up coming on strong. He seemed to get stronger as the fight went on. Yeah. It was an incredible performance in terms of bravery, but there were 1 or 2 noises afterwards from Ryder and his team that, you know, if my nose hadn't have gone in the second round, the fight would have been different. And you think, well, that's like saying if Canelo hadn't broke my nose, I would have done better. You know, unfortunately, that's what happens in boxing, isn't it? You know, but the amount of heart he showed was exceptional, really. Yeah.
Do you think that's taken the bit out of Ryder, though, on the back end of that performance? Yeah. Do you think?
Maybe. Maybe that's what Munguia and his team are thinking. You know, maybe they think they're getting him at the right time. And also, Ryder is now effectively a millionaire, isn't he? He got sort of between $3 and $4 million from a Canelo fight. That's what I read. I don't know how true that is, but that seems about right. And I'd say that last purse was possibly more than what he's earned in his entire purses combined. You know, so we'll see if that has softened him up a little bit. And Ryder himself probably won't know until he's in the ring. You know, so that'll be interesting to see if he's still got it.
If he's still got it. At the age of 35 as well, talking of Ryder, 6 losses. Obviously, you mentioned that payday from the Canelo fight as well. Will this be his last fight if he loses this one, do you think?
Will it be his last fight? I think if he retires, if he gets beat and then he retires in the ring or immediately afterwards, I think that'll probably tell us a lot about his mentality going into the fight. Yeah. But if it's a close one and he's annoyed and he wants a rematch or he wants another fight in London, then that will tell you where he's at mentally. He still wants to fight on, you know. Yeah. But if he retires immediately afterwards, then I think maybe the Canelo money has possibly softened his stance a little bit, you know? Yeah,
it may have been, like you said, it may be in the back of his mind. He's thinking that maybe already from a psychological point of view.
He might just think mission accomplished, mightn't he?
Yeah, definitely. With Ryder, will he need that stoppage, that KO on Saturday? Basically, can he afford it going to the cards?
Well, you can't second guess the judges because they don't always give close ones to the home fighters. We've seen it over here a few times. It's really difficult to second guess judges unless it's like a Canelo fight in Vegas or something.
Yeah. And then is it guaranteed give me to Canelo?
Of course, yes, of course, absolutely. But I don't think Ryder can stop Munguia. I'm not sure that he hits hard enough to stop him.
Yeah.
Ryder's got to start fast, mate. He's got to start the fight as he normally ends the fight, which is strong. If he doesn't, then he's in trouble. Like if he loses, say, the first 2 rounds, then he's got to win 7 out the next 10. Yeah. And that ain't going to happen, is it, on the cards? No. You know, so he's got to start fast. But I think a knockout is asking a bit much, really.
Yeah. Well, going the other way, I picked up a quote from Oscar De La Hoya quoting that Munguia is thinking, I want to knock Ryder out do what Canelo couldn't do, that would be a huge statement. Would it be a huge statement if he did get the stoppage and the KO?
I think it would. Yeah, I think it would, because he would be doing what Canelo couldn't. And I suppose the Canelo people, especially online, will be saying, like the fans and that, will be saying that Canelo softened him up and all this crap. But yeah, if he stops Ryder and puts in a dominant performance, then yes, that is a hell of a statement.
Yeah, because obviously Oscar De La Hoya, we know his relationship with Canelo is not probably the greatest, is it there? So do you think he's trying to obviously beef Munguia up as well, you know?
Yeah, I think Oscar likes a little dig, doesn't he? He likes to dig at fighters who are actually under his promotional outfit. You know, have you seen them back and forth between him and Garcia lately? So it's a little bit of a mess with Oscar, isn't it? But yeah, there's no love lost between him and Canelo, and that seems to be the way with Oscar. When he falls out with someone, it seems to be for quite a long time. Like him and Floyd stuff back and forth, don't they? They don't like one another.
Yeah, he definitely holds a grudge, doesn't he? I think
he does. Yeah, he does. Yeah,
and doesn't let that go anyway. We're at the nitty gritty bit. Prediction for your fight, Kenzer. How do you see it going?
Prediction is, I don't think it's going to be as close as what I initially thought it was going to be, which was razor close. Possibly even a draw, but maybe Munguia on a split, something like that. I think it's going to go to points, and I think Munguia is going to win. And I think it's going to be like a 115, 113 type of fight. Close, very competitive, but Munguia unanimous decision.
Yeah, so quite close. So you're saying...
still quite close, but not razor, and possibly not controversial, which is what I was thinking initially. You know, I could hear shouts of robbery from the Ryder camp. You know what I mean? Like, I think it might be close, and then Ryder might be hard done to, but I think it might be a little bit more one-sided than what I thought initially.
So you're not going to be in Oscar De La Hoya's good books of predicting that KO stoppage, then you're not going to be in his fan club then.
No, I don't want to be in his good books. I think that's quite scary. You know what I mean? I don't want to be in any of his books.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
I don't.
That's fair enough. Are you actually staying up and watching this fight, are you then? Or is it one of a case of watching it in the morning?
Well, I don't know what's on the undercard, but no, I'll stay up and watch it. I'll stay up. I'll either set the alarm or power through. I don't think there's a UK show on Saturday, is there?
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Is there one?
Is there a one from Belfast? Yeah.
Oh, right.
Belfast.
Yeah, no, I'll probably just watch the whole thing then and power through.
Power through. That's a good effort. Always, when I go through the show, always have some closing questions, and one of them was my tweet of the week, and I chose this one. It's not from a fan. It's from actually Queensbury Promotions. I chose this one because I just love the idea of it. It's the idea of the 5 fighters from Queensbury to fight 5 fighters from Matchroom. It really got my interest. What do you think of that, Kenzer?
Brilliant idea. I mean, it's been talked about ever since Eddie's been a promoter, really. So the last 10, 12 years, that's been spoken about on and off with no realistic chance of it happening. The one thing I think they should tweak, though, is Frank is just so competitive when it comes to Eddie. Frank actually said he wanted it to be an odd number, so there'd be a winner on the night, and they could both have like 10 grand on it and a private bet or something.
Yeah.
9 fights or 11. I'd like it so it can't end in a draw. I would. I'd like to wrap up the competitiveness between them just for our entertainment, because I'm just loving the rivalry between the two. You know, I'm just loving the conflict. I haven't watched the sit down between them yet.
No, but this relationship's almost blossomed over the last few months, hasn't it? From like barely seen together, barely talking to shaking hands, you know, hugging each other. Behind
gritted teeth, you know. I wonder what the handshake was like. Do you think it was a squeezer? You know,
I'll shake his hand because it's going to earn me millions of pounds, I think, maybe. But yeah, we've seen it blossom, haven't we?
Frank just seems to be getting on with it and whatever. He's got no shame, is he? But Eddie's smile is so forced. It is so forced. He wears his smile when he's sat next to Frank at those top tables. You know,
Yeah.
so I think he's just aware of what the fans are saying regarding Eddie and Frank's relationship and Big Turk making it all happen. And I think Eddie's probably got his nose put out of joint by that a little bit more than Frank has, i.e. not being the main man anymore.
Yeah, it's interesting to see. And I know Eddie's already put a few fights out there already, suggested a few fights. Anthony Yard versus Callum Smith, Sam Noakes against Andy Cruz. You know, he's put some names out there. Yeah, already. So
I saw that. I did see the 5 potential matchups by Eddie, but like Sam Noakes versus Andy Cruz, is that realistic? Like,
yeah,
you know,
it's a bit of a jump, isn't it?
It is a bit of a jump. Yeah, yeah. I don't know who you put Andy Cruz in with, really. And I don't know. The noises I'm getting from the Smith family are that Callum's maybe about done.
Yeah, it could.
You know, it'd be interesting to see who they actually match up. But then it depends on the money, doesn't it, as well?
Yeah, I'd love to be a fly on the wall for that meeting with is it going to be like X Factor when they got photos of people who they can go through to the next round and decide, oh, we'd be good against him?
Steve, because if you rewind sort of 5 or 6 years, I think both men had a bit of a stronger stable.
Yeah.
You know, there was more options there for both promoters, but now it's a sort of little bit patchy, both stables. A lot of fighters are doing sort of one-fight deals now, aren't they? So it's like you say, you're looking at the likes of like Noakes versus Andy Cruz, which doesn't really make any sense to me. So if and when it does happen, I'll be very interested to see the matchups.
Yeah, me too. I think the Andy Cruz one's a step too far, maybe, but we'll see what happens. Conor Benn fighting in America. I've touched on this one. It's quite a controversial subject as well. It's actually it's a couple of weekends away. What do you think about that?
Not much. No. Not much. It's not for me. I mean, Conor as an individual just represented himself so badly over the past sort of 18 months, and he slagged off the UK fans once too many times for me, and he's basically blamed everybody around him. He couldn't have handled it worse. When he's back and he's in a big fight, I'll take notice because I have to or whatever. But as for him fighting a fella I've never heard of on a Saturday afternoon in America, I couldn't give a shit.
Yeah. Do you think it's going to take a big fight or back in the UK to get the fans back, or obviously the British Boxing Board maybe got a bit of clearing up to do? But do you think it's going to take something like that to get? Because obviously this is his second fight in America now, so it's probably not ideal for him, is it?
No, I mean, he's apparently got all these options, but he hasn't, has he really? He needs Eubank. He needs Eubank. Eubank is really playing hardball with the money, isn't he?
Yeah.
So I think Conor's not in a great place in terms of options, even though Eddie will have you believe otherwise, but it's bullshit, isn't it?
Yeah, I totally agree. And going to that one, it's just obviously it's a big fight. To be honest with you, it may win some fans back. I probably doubt it, but I think a lot of people would be cheering on Eubank. But
I would be. Yeah, I try not to take sides really because I don't really have a dog in the race normally. But I'd be cheering on Eubank in that one. I would.
Yeah, that's fair enough. The other subject is AJ versus Ngannou as well. Obviously, just been released the last few weeks as well. What's your feelings on that one as well?
That's a thumbs up for me, mate. I'm all for it. I don't see the.
You're a fan for it.
Why? Yeah, I'm looking forward to the fight. I'm looking forward to see what Ngannou can do against a fully motivated opponent. You know, I don't see the issue in it at all. I mean, by all accounts, AJ is waiting for the big one in the summer, either Hrgovic for the IBF, or now apparently he might be fighting the winner of Fury and Usyk, which has just sort of come from nowhere. But either way, he needs to have a fight in between. So why shouldn't it be Ngannou? I don't see what's wrong with it at all. It's like had a bit of razzmatazz and hype, and I think it's real entertainment. And Ngannou, don't forget, acquitted himself really, really well last time against Fury. So I'm all for it. I don't see the problem. A lot of people are knocking it, but that's mainly from ex-boxers. You know,
Yeah.
and they're like the likes of Froch and Johnny Nelson and a few others. I think Ricky Hatton's had a pop as well, and they're saying it's bad for boxing. And they're just coming across, Lennox Lewis as well, like they're coming across as really out of touch or maybe a little bit bitter. I don't see the negativity in it, really. I think it's a good fight.
It's a good fight. Do you think it's though, maybe Eddie, ex-Fury opponents, while he done a better job than Fury, if he does a better job on Ngannou, is a bit of like ego boost as well there? Although a lot of money, obviously making a lot of money at the same time.
Yeah, if Joshua knocks Ngannou out, then Eddie is just in full-on overdrive that he's knocked out Ngannou and he's knocked out Valin. Fury couldn't do either of those two things, so that means he's going to knock out Fury, clearly.
Yeah.
That's the logic that's going to be applied from like just morning, noon and night,
As we know, that doesn't always happen, though, do we?
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. No.
There's a good theory behind that, but, it's theory, then but when it actually comes to it,
it doesn't work like that. But no, I'm excited to see what Ngannou can do.
Yeah. I think it's an interesting fight. Obviously, they're getting a bit of an undercard together for it as well to make it a bit more value for money.
Yeah.
Because I'm assuming it's going to be another 20 odd quid pay-per-view. I'm assuming. So I'm not sure what the price is yet. With regards to yourself, last question for you, Kenzer. What fight would you like to see the most this year in 2024? Tank
versus Shakur Stevenson.
Yeah, that's a good choice.
Yeah, I do. I just think that I know he done. Did he do after the Garcia fight? Did he do a month or two in jail, something like that? So that obviously stalled his momentum. But I just think he's such a good fighter, and he's in the absolute peak of his career now. And I think he knocks them all out. Honestly, Stevenson, Haney, Lopez. I know they've moved up to 140, but I think Tank is the best out of the lot. But I'd like to see him fight Stevenson because they're both left at lightweight, aren't they? Yeah. And Stevenson's being talked about as maybe the second coming, and those two seem to be about the best to me out of that little quartet. So I'd like to see Tank versus Stevenson. I would.
Yeah, it's a great fight. Do you think realistically we could get it? Maybe. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, it's like it seems to be like most fights at the top end of the sport. They're sort of waiting for the call from Turk. That's what seems to be to me. I mean, if Turk wants it, it'll happen. But apparently he's mentioned Tank versus Haney. I did see that online, but I don't know how true it is. Apparently he's mentioned that in an interview.
I think we could take that as well, couldn't we?
I'll take that. Definitely. Tank, any combination of those four. But preferably, I'd like to see Tank versus Stevenson. It depends on the Turk, doesn't it, really? If he wants it to happen, and if he doesn't, then it has to go the traditional route of American promoters, then it's going to be a lot more difficult.
It's probably going to be, I was going to say, a lot of negotiation when it comes to that. And obviously, the Saudi money can make things so much easier, like promotional.
Of course, when it's the traditional route, the UK or the American promoters, you get all that bad taste stuff online of people taking screenshots of messages between fighter and promoter and then posting them. And, there's all that nonsense. And it's really bad taste, isn't it?
Yeah.
But when the Saudis are involved, there's none of that.
Well, you see how quick these fights are being made in Saudi. They're being made like that. So, easy to make fights, throw loads of money at people. Yeah, we'll do it.
So what... I don't. Obviously, there's pros and cons to the Saudi thing, but for me, there's a lot more pros than there is cons. So I'm just happy to roll with it at the minute.
Yeah, I put actually a tweet out earlier last week and saying is it a good thing and bad thing, and I had quite a mixed response. A lot of people saying it's a good thing short term because it's making the fights happen. Negative side of things, you're missing out on the smaller fighters. The bigger fighters are all getting paid. The fights are not in the UK. So there was a lot of negative behind it as well.
Yeah, I mean, short term, it's coming at the expense. The Saudi thing, the Saudi cards are maybe happening at the expense of UK shows. I think that's a legitimate point, really. I do a valid point.
Yeah.
And that will probably need to be looked at moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think if this is the way forward, then as fans, maybe we should try and get behind the small hall promotions and the smaller fighters, because if we're not going to spend money on tickets to the big fights, then maybe we should try and support the small hall fights.
Maybe maybe the smaller hall shows will get a bit of a higher profile as a consequence of the Saudi thing.
I totally agree. If this is the long term of boxing, of the big fights, you know, let's get behind some of the smaller fighters and the smaller promotions to help them guys out, because they're the ones who are going to be suffering, I think, in the long run to that. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this week. Kenzer, thanks for joining me. It's brilliant to have you on again, and obviously enjoy the fight. Good luck staying up.
I know. It'll have to be. I'm not drinking at the minute, mate, so it'll have to be coffee all the way. So
dry Jan, are you?
yeah, I'm about in. I think it's actually over Christmas and New Year as well. So I'm 5 weeks in now, and I'm just going to keep it going for as long as I can.
Yeah.
But yeah, listen, good to talk to you, mate. Thanks for having me.
Brilliant. I was going to say thank you again. Obviously, everyone, please support the channel as best you can. Likes, comments, subscriptions all help. Get your beers and snacks in if you're watching the Belfast card, or even get your beers and snacks in if you're staying up watching the Ryder fight. So, but enjoy the fights, and thanks again, Kenzer.
All right, thanks, Steve. See you, mate.
Steve Talk.